come back for the second. India have won the test match. India have won the series. They're going to get back for two. India at home. Lords goes wild.
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the 81 All Out podcast. This is your host, Siddhartha Vaidyanathan, and I'm joined by two regulars, Ashoka and Karthikeya. Listeners of 81 All Out will be familiar with these two gentlemen. If not, welcome to the Wild West. This is actually episode number 200 of the 81 All Out podcast. And I don't know whether to laugh or cry, as they say, because it's quite, it's quite a bit of a minor miracle, as I was telling these folks, that we got so far. Initially, we started off with a bit of fun to talk about cricket, to talk about cricketing perspectives that aren't in the mainstream, to also make it a little bit, serious fun, as I like to call it. Serious fun as in we take cricket very seriously, but at the same time, it's not like we are taking it so seriously as to abuse each other, and as it was often happening in social media back then, and as it continues to happen, of course. I think it's been a great ride. We've, usually when we have these landmark episodes, 50, 100, we've got special guests on the show. But sometimes invariably it's time for a series review or a match review. So we just let it slide and do something special after that. So yeah, we may do something special for 201 or 203, who knows. But just to thank all of you listeners who've been around for a while, to sort of listen to what we say and who are interested in this podcast, who also, some of you generously contribute to the podcast on Ko-fi. That's ko-fi.com. And that's been extremely sort of generous from your end. We've also had many of you support our book publishing venture, that is republishing old cricket classics. We've got out 3 books, and so many of you have written to us and told us about how it's been great to read these books that you had no idea about or that you were looking for a long time. And who is to say how long this podcast will continue? But just to get so far has been wonderful, and it's been great. Ashoka, as somebody who has edited perhaps 197 of the 200 podcasts, any thoughts?
Yeah, I'll tell you my thoughts 3 podcasts later when I hit 200.
I took 197 as a guess, by the way. Maybe 198 also.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I didn't expect us to go this long, but anyways, it's been a good routine, right? It's been a good escape for all of us, because as listeners know that we are not doing this full time. This is something that we do in addition to our lives. So none of us, I think, expected this to go this far, but we have made it. Now this has become a thing. Now 81 All Out has become a thing for us. So that is slightly embarrassing. But yeah, good fun, man. I actually enjoyed editing this. I will not say this has made me a great editor and all that, because the conversations are so good that this has made it, I treat that job as I am the first listener of the podcast. Like in YouTube, they'll go and write first, no? After, in any popular YouTube channel, they'll just go and comment first, no? I get to do the editing bit. So that is my way of saying first. So yeah, so that's been the perk of doing this.
You also have another perk of a perk or not, I don't know, perk or curse, I don't know, of listening to all the nonsense that we say and cutting it out.
Yeah,
so that is also there.
Cut it out.
Yeah.
My long-term wish is to somehow compile all of those and bring it out, but I think that's now too much work. 200 episodes worth of cut out junk that I have to. I don't think I'm going to do that. Yeah.
I think. I must. I mean, we don't have Mahesh. Mahesh was the one who actually, had this idea of starting a space for cricketing discourse and cricketing discussions. back in 2018, we began, exchanging emails and publishing those as a blog. That was, we were anyway exchanging emails about cricket. So we said, okay, we might as well just publish all that. And that then moved on to become a podcast, which then moved on to books and other things. But yeah, the podcast has survived. Mahesh has got busier and busier with his life. But that's bound to happen, especially at a time when we have been doing this entirely part time from the beginning. None of us are doing this full time. So yeah, and I think out of the 200 KD, you've probably been on some 60 at least. I would imagine a third, maybe even more than 60. So do you have anything to share about this podcast?
Yeah, it's been good fun. I think the only way to really do cricket and have fun as a fan is to do it part-time. Because then you can only do it when you actually have something to say. There are a lot of podcasts and there are a lot of blogs and Substacks and video logs and all, where they keep having to churn out stuff every week or every 3 days or something. And really, there's not enough to say, for that often, and it cannot be that you have something to say for 1 hour every week or every 4 days about cricket. That's not how life works, and that's not how cricket works. This is a nice rhythm. This is a nice pace. I don't know how often I've been on. I think mostly I've been on reviews and stuff. And I suppose I don't know. I haven't looked it up, but I would be surprised if it's more than 10 or 12 every year. And
yeah, that's how I calculated it. We do about 30, 35 every year, and you've probably been on 10 or 15 every year.
Yeah. And my Cricinfo stuff is about 5 articles a year, and that's pretty much the extent of my cricket writing. My Substack is also quite irregular, so that seems to be a good pace, to do it as a hobby. So yeah,
I totally agree. As somebody who did it full time for 5 years, and I completely agree that for at least for me, cricket is perfect at a part-time sort of remove. I do not want something that I love so much to become, entirely part of my life as work. And, it's good to dip in and out and to, watch the games that I really want to watch and skip the games that I have no interest in. And yeah, it's great. And this podcast, the last thing I want to say about this podcast is that more than anything else, what was surprising for us is that how many, the sort of the audience that it gathered over the years. This is not like, I'm not saying we have tens of thousands of listeners, but even the listeners we have, it's been really heartening to see how loyal they've been to the podcast and how regularly they listen to it, and how so many times we get comments and messages about episodes from 3 years ago, 5 years ago, somebody writing in to say that they heard something from 2021 that really helped them in relive a game or something. I think that timelessness is something we've aimed for, but I'm glad that people have also felt it. And people have felt that, even going back in the archive and listening to episodes has value. And I think, that will hopefully continue. Anyway, now it is, I think, apt that for this 200th episode, we are going to be discussing a test match that India won by, 7 wickets and pulled off the series against Bangladesh 2-0. Now, that is the most bland way of talking about this test in Kanpur that ended. I would say it was one of those tests which was both believable as well as unbelievable. It was believable because I felt, yes, if any team could pull off a win in that short span of time after all the rain had washed out so much, like 2 days of play and, more than 2 days of play, actually, 2.5 days. after so much of play had been lost, if any team could pull off a victory, I thought it was the Indian team. In fact, during our chats, the morning of the fourth day, I was even saying that, yeah, these guys could win in 2 days. I mean, we were discussing whether to review the test or not. And something told me that, yeah, they could win in 2 days. But at the same time, thinking about it, you're also like, oh my God, they actually won in 2 days. So I think it was a fabulous game. It showcased India's quality as a test side. I mean, every test showcases India's quality as a test side, but I think sometimes it is of great value for a great team to do something transcendent. Like if a great team goes and chases 400 plus in a test match and wins, that moment of transcendence is extremely, sort of memorable for people who follow that team. Same way this match. I mean, it was, going at that run rate when batting and then taking those 20 wickets at that rate, I think was remarkable. And it's great that this team did it. I mean, of course, winning in Australia with all that they went through was transcendent too. But I think this sort of moment was something that also this Indian team brought out how good they were. So yeah, we can start with big picture thoughts. Ashwin, Jadeja, and Bumrah. Oh, I got a email actually from one of our listeners and readers and somebody who has been following our work for a while. So David Norton from England writes in saying, not sure if you or anyone else noticed, but Ashwin, Jadeja and Bumrah now have exactly 1,000 test wickets between them, which I thought was very interesting. All three also feature on the first page of Cricinfo's leading test averages. Does this make them the most effective trio of bowlers in modern day test cricket? Thanks. Thank you so much for the comment. And I think, why modern day? I think all test cricket throughout, Ashwin, Jadeja and Bumrah, we don't think of them often as a trio. And I think that's because they are not like three fast bowlers or three spinners. Like when you talk about India's quartet, you have all four of them were spinners. When you talk about West Indies' quartet, all of them were fast bowlers. So these are more like the Shane Warne and Glenn McGrath kind of combinations. And I think, Ashwin, Jadeja and Bumrah, I find it hard to think of a greater trio of bowlers in history. Forget modern test cricket. In any three bowlers who played test cricket, I don't think too many will be greater than that. So big picture thoughts. Ashoka.
Can I immediately burst your bubble and say I can easily think of a quartet, as good as Ashwin, Jadeja and Bumrah. 500 wickets Lion, nearly 400 wickets Stark, 250 for Cummins and 200 and something for Hazelwood. So they two are, I think they are also in the first page. No, at least three of them will be in the first page.
Sure. Yeah.
So and that's the crazy part. Like we are in an era where bowling has improved a lot. It's not like one team has great bowling and other teams have, okayish kind of bowling in their home and very poor away. At least 4 teams are very, very good at home and until recently even away. So that in itself is a good place to be. The last 8-10 years has been very, very good for test cricket in terms of bowling, and the batting response to it has also been very good. Coming to this test, this is like that one day where you just step out of home to go to office and then you get the green signals all the way, man. Like you get into your vehicle and then every signal is green. You just don't stop and you reach the office and you're like, dude, did I just come here in like 30 minutes? Usually takes an hour. Or if you're using the public transport, you get into a bus, you go to the bus stop, you get the bus, you get down from the bus, there is an auto there, you get into the rickshaw and then you're in the office. and you get
And
inside
then in
the
the office, you
the lift
get inside the
opens.
office.
The lift opens
Yeah.
just when you go, and then it's empty, and you press 6 or 8 or 9, and it doesn't stop. It just goes to your floor, and you're there. And you think, did this just happen? Like there are other significant events in life, like you get your promotions, you get your massive hike and whatnot, you buy a house and all. But this is something, it's very possible, but also very unique, because India beating Bangladesh in 2 days, if you ask me, yeah, it's highly possible given our quality of bowling. But the way this happened, it's like amazingly unique, man. I mean, 2 days rained off, and then, I mean, not 2 days rained off, one day was not rained off, but they couldn't get the pitch to be functional. And these guys, just from 107 for 3, they went out, they got all out for 230 odd. I think that in itself was an amazing bowling effort.
Yeah, and we should mention here that the pitch wasn't anything like,
It was doing absolutely nothing. I mean, at least on day 4, day 5, couple of balls spun a lot. I saw one from Jadeja that spin and bouncing a lot, but it was not.
And one from Bumrah. One from Bumrah.
Bumrah, man. Bumrah had like 3 all-time great dismissals in this match itself. Like Mushfiqur, that bowled from Mushfiqur, that second innings. Taijul, he bowled an off-spin, dude. Like at 120 kilometers, he's bowling an off-spin ball. And even Mehdi in the second innings, where he gets him nicked off. And that's an amazing ball. So, yeah. So that's what I was thinking. Like, this is obviously bonkers, but it gets even bonkers when you think about it. These guys went and hit 250 or 280 in like 34 overs. That's like crazy, man. I mean, everything worked out. Everyone stepped out.
Usually when you see a 2.5 day finish, either the pitch is bonkers, which means the match has to finish early, or like one team is so superior to the other that they've just bowled them out for like sub 100 totals or something. But here the pitch was totally fine. I mean, there was nothing bonkers. And secondly, like, it's very rare to have a team, like, had there been no rain, for instance, India wouldn't have declared after 280. They would have just kept going. I mean, they wouldn't have scored it so fast, probably, but they would have just kept going at the usual pace for 500 plus. But this whole weather situation provided this unique context, and I think that's also part of the deal of just watching tests. I mean, these are the sort of unique circumstances that teams find themselves in, where they have to show their versatile ways of playing, and their quality showed.
Yeah, and also, I mean, we must mention Bangladesh here. In general, I don't think Bangladesh are that bad. I really don't think that they're like that poor quality a team to be bundled out. But in this test, though, the Shakib charging Ashwin for no reason. I don't know why he did that. It was just the second ball he faced. I mean, or second or third ball. And one ball before that, he just hit him for a boundary. I don't know why he just wildly charged him. Then Litton in the first innings. That too, I don't understand why you have to charge Siraj at that point in time. Especially when you know that, you're the best you can hope for in this test match is a draw at that point. You take the 4 points and go, man. Play a little bit more, sedately. The pitch is not, doing stuff that was doing in Chennai for you to charge the seamers like that. And, the second time around, which is the last over or something like that of that day, when Bangladesh were batting, they sent out this night watchman guy. And that guy is, wildly slogging Ashwin. You have like what? 1 over to go, 4 balls to go, something like that. He slogged Ashwin. He missed it completely. He got bowled. Why? why can't you just defend it? It's not spinning that much. So I didn't understand that as well. So yeah, man. I mean, they could have done a little bit more better with the bat.
Yeah. Kartikeya, thoughts?
They bowled them out twice in 120 overs on that pitch, man. And this was a fairly flat pitch, and it was not really turning a lot. It was not very quick. Because the ball was barely carrying to the slips. Nearly every catch was low down by the ankles. It was remarkable bowling. And I mean, I think Mominul played a great innings in the first innings. He's a real class player. I mean, and he's scored 12 test hundreds before this, so more than Rohit Sharma. So, he's a really good player. So
Sadly, Mahesh has to miss this podcast also.
I know that comment was like, but still, it's still true. I mean, whether Mahesh is there or not. So what's Mahesh going to do anyway? So I think Bangladesh are good there. I mean, I think they had their problem basically was that their tragedy was that in this test match, the conditions never arrived for their spinners to get into the game. I mean, Taijul, poor guy, he didn't play the last test. He played this test match. He didn't get to bowl at all until the fourth evening. And then he sort of ran into the Indian side, which basically didn't really care whether they were losing wickets or not. They set out to bat for like 35, 40 overs. And they were prepared to spend whatever wickets they had over those 35, 40 overs. I mean, India lost 11 wickets in 52 overs in this match. I think they lost a wicket every 27 balls or something like that. That's a lot of. That's
12, no? 12 wickets. 9 wickets in the first innings, 3 in the second.
12 wickets, yeah. So 12 wickets. So, I mean, that 8 runs per over, that was quite spectacular. But what makes that possible is the quality of the Indian bowling. Like Jasprit Bumrah makes that possible. And as good as India have been in India for the last 10 years, since Jasprit Bumrah started playing Test cricket in India, they've gotten just that one level greater. And I think that if India can still play one series where they have Shami, Bumrah, Ashwin, Jadeja, Akshar, Kuldeep, all 6 of them available and fully fit, that will be some exhibition of bowling in India. Because they've not really had that. Let's be honest. I mean, they've not really had all 6 of them firing at the same time. I mean, when Australia came in 2023, Bumrah was not there. When England came earlier this year, Shami was not there. And Siraj is good, and Akashdeep is also terrific. But they're not Jasprit Bumrah. Jasprit Bumrah is like he's a genie. I mean, he's able to, like, I mean, it used to be said of Malcolm Marshall that he would nominate dismissals, and Jasprit Bumrah seems to be able to do that. He seems to be able to. He seems to be able to make the ball sing, and is just an extraordinary bowler right now, and in extraordinary form, And India are going to need him in Australia because if as reports are suggesting, Mohammad Shami's recovery is not going to be over in time, they're going to need like a series for the ages from Bumrah if they have to compete in Australia. Because otherwise, I don't think they're going to compete in Australia. But I mean, in India, these are magnificent. I mean, not even discussed. Like Ravindra Jadeja just did the 3,000 run, 300 wicket double in 74 tests. I mean, and to put that in perspective, like both of them did it in 72 tests and Imran did it in 75 tests. So, and those were until Jadeja came along, those were the 2 quickest players to complete that double. And then there's Ashwin who has five wickets per test match for over 100 test matches. So, that attack makes all things possible. That Rohit Sharma has, I don't know if Rohit Sharma would do this if he didn't have this bowling attack. Because it would be futile to do it. If all it was going to be was, if you had only one spinner with who was like a really genuine 24-carat wicket-taking option on the fifth day, I don't think he would play this way. But this bowling makes it all possible. And they proved, that bowling them out for 233 in the first innings was, this is not a 233 pitch. This was like a 450 wicket. That was extraordinary. And that too, when Bangladesh have played like the extra batter and they have, batting depth. And it's also fascinating how India do it. They do it by just being utterly unrelenting. Like, there are no easy overs when you play India. And defending is really hard against these bowlers. So batters have to take a chance. And DRS has helped them with that. But even so, it's some achievement and some bowling.
Yeah,
I don't even think it is a 146 pitch on day 5, man. Even day 5 it was not that venomous at all.
No, certainly not. All said and done, India had to score less than 400 runs in the whole match to win it. That's only possible because of the bowlers.
Yeah, I think. See, I was going back to that 2021 test in Kanpur again against New Zealand. You guys will remember that test. We reviewed that series, and that was like an extremely, sluggish kind of pitch. And for India to come within one wicket of that victory itself was a big kind of remarkable feat. But I was seeing the bowling attack in that match when KD was talking, and that was Ishant Sharma, Umesh Yadav, Ashwin, Jadeja, and Aksar, which is a formidable attack for Indian conditions. But you add Bumrah into that mix, then things become like a different order altogether. That is what it has become. Of course, you can say that Ishant and Umesh have gone away, but Siraj and Akashdeep look very, very good going forward. Akashdeep has been probably the most promising in these two tests. Siraj has had some wonderful days. So, can't agree more about the Bumrah factor just elevating the bowling. That
Mushfiqur dismissal, man. Seen on its own, it's like it looks like Mushfiqur misjudged his leave to a ball coming in or a seaming in. But the previous ball, right? Bumrah bowled it was coming in. This guy tried to, defend it, got an inside edge, and it went for 4, behind him. And the next ball, they showed comparison. The fine tuning is so minute, and the batsman has no idea that if the previous ball came in, so this ball will leave me or not. It's that length, and from that length, it hits the top of off. The change in angle, he went a little wider in delivering it, and a little further. And I say little, I think I'm talking in centimeters. To do that kind of, adjustment is because, what I realized when they showed that replay or when they showed that video analysis is that in grounds, the camera recording the action is at an elevation, right? It is above the side screen. So from an elevation, you're looking down and capturing it. So it becomes apparent how much of adjustment Bumrah has made. But for Bumrah, the batsman is at an eye level, right? Okay, this is Mushfiqur, so he's less than high level. He's not that tall. But still, how is he able to gauge the depth that minutely, that perfectly, when something is at a ground level, you are on the ground and you are approaching a target. How do you do that depth, calculation? How do you alter it at a centimeter level? That is, I mean, it blows my mind, dude, how these guys do it at a centimeter level change. Not even they're not doing spray and pray. They're just, it's like a system that is adjusting the margins.
But it's not spray and pray, but it is. I don't think he does that. I don't think he can do that centimeter level adjustment. What he can do, what is so amazing, I think, about Bumrah is that there isn't a type of delivery that you can name which he has not mastered, which he can't bowl. He can swing the ball both ways. He can get the ball to move both ways off the seam. He can bowl cutters in both directions. He can bowl a bouncer. He can hit the pitch hard, back of a length. He can bowl the Yorker. He can bowl, the full swerving delivery. He can do most of these things with the new ball and the old ball. He can bowl cross seam when it's necessary. He has a great bouncer. I mean, that range is exceptional. And he keeps getting better. Like, he keeps learning how to do these things all the time. Bumrah is like a polymath. It's just very, very sharp competitor. And there are a lot of bowlers who are good at a few of these things, or even just one or two of these things. James Anderson, for instance, marvelous seam bowler, really magnificent seam bowler. But, did he have a great bouncer? Not really. Did he have a great outswing and inswing at the time when he also was a master seam bowler? Not really. Did he have a great Yorker? Not really. But, Bumrah has all of these things. I don't know. In the cricket I watch, I think only Stain probably comes close to like how complete Bumrah is. I was just looking at these figures, Srinath was a great bowler in India. Kapil was a great bowler in India. They both took their wickets at 26 apiece. And they were both terrific bowlers. Umesh Yadav also 26 apiece. Also terrific bowlers. And then, Shami sort of raised that bar a little bit more. He's taking his wickets in India at 22 apiece. That's extraordinary. Bumrah right now is taking his wickets in India at 15 and a half. That's not real.
A joke, man.
Yeah, this is like cheat code.
That is a bowling equivalent of book cricket.
Yeah,
this is stupid,
it's crazy.
That's like Bradman of bowling, man. You tell somebody I'll average 99 and they'll be like, get out of here. It's the same way. Of his 10 test matches in India, he's played 4 against Bazball, right? So it's not. I've been looking at the Bazball figures recently, and like Bumrah is the one bowler in the world who's utterly immune to Bazball. It makes no difference to his figures. He's still going at less than 3 runs per over against Bazball. So it's like he's crazy. He is sui generis, in the truest sense of that term. Yeah, he is one of those handful of cricketers who come along once in a while. You don't know what the hell they did, how the hell they did it. But the one thing that you mentioned, right, that he has all these varieties of balls. But the thing about him is not just that.
And he can deliver them to order, He says, okay.
Not just to order. I think he can even mix and match. So what he can do is that he has like these 2 deliveries. And then he says, okay, fine. Now the next one is going to be this cocktail of these 2 deliveries. And he's good enough to actually deliver that. Yes, I have the slower ball. Yes, I have the sort of the cutter. Now I'm going to do the slow cutter that is going to basically make the batsman, have to face like a fastish spinner. And he gets it. He gets the execution of it so perfectly that it's almost like he can open a book and say, okay, this is the ball I'm going to bowl, and then that's it, that he bowls it. It's unbelievable.
I mean, so here's something you see in the ball tracking, okay? Like all these bowlers, usually when they get seam movement, they also get a little bit of swing. And what they're really trying to do is to get it to swing in one direction and then seam in the other direction. And the way Anderson does it is with the wobble seam, because then he doesn't know which way it's going to seam, right? Because it's a wobble seam, so there are some odds that it will seam one way or the other way. It's about 50-50 roughly, right? Now Bumrah gets more than half his deliveries to swing one way and seam the other way. And no other bowler comes above 40% in the ball tracking record. It's completely mad. It's like he's doing it on purpose. Like he means it. Like he is trying to swing it in and seam it away, or swing it away and seam it in. And it happens. Like he really, I mean, yeah, I really wonder like what will happen. Like one day we'll see Bumrah bowling, and the things that he wants the ball to do, the ball won't do. And, that will be quite a sight, because, that will be the day we know that it's over. But until then...
When he's human, when he becomes human again.
Yeah. And until then, it's just magic. And you see now, he's going to bowl in Australia later this year. And he's going to bowl completely differently with a completely different ball. So many fast bowlers, this is the other thing. Like, they go with the Duke ball and they have a problem for a little while, or they go with the Kookaburra and they have a problem. This guy is no difference. Like he's adjusted to everything. Like nothing comes as a surprise to him. Like he knows what's going to happen, what's possible, what he can do, and he's able to do it. It's amazing.
Yeah, the more I see Bumrah,
Siraj is a good bowler, okay, but like Bumrah makes him look ordinary.
Dude, I mean, as we have said many times, in the 90s, if Mohammad Siraj had come through, we would have been like, oh man, this is godsend. And now not only we have Siraj, we've had Shami, and then of course we've had Umesh and Ishant, and then we've had Bumrah. So what I'm saying is, every time I see Bumrah, the more I see Bumrah, the more I'm reminded of Shane Warne. And the reason I keep saying that is because I think, the greatest of the bowlers, you mentioned Steyn, Marshall, I saw a bit right at the end of his career, but I've read a bit about Marshall, and they say that, a lot of them were very comfortable in the extremes. And what I mean by that is, like, Shane Warne would bowl like this massive ripping leg break, okay? And it would miss the stump by a long while. But the thing is, he had the confidence to go that little bit more wider, to rip that leg break in even more. Basically to say that, okay, I mean, I'm not only capable of deceiving you, but I'm capable of deceiving you by like extra large margins. And I feel Bumrah also is like sometimes operates on that marginal limit where he's constantly saying, okay, I can swing it this much, but now I'm going to move it this way and swing it this way by that much and beat you so badly that you will have like zero chance.
No, but see, the difference between Warne and our guy is that Warne, when he does that, it's visually understandable. As a viewer, you understand, okay, this has pitched so wide and it has turned. Bumrah, you don't see it, live. On the replay, you find it, oh God, this guy has done this. And it is so subtle, man. It is so subtle and it is so surgically, precise. It is mind-blowing. Otherwise, if you see a Bumrah ball, you think that batsman missed it. So what is so special about this? But it bounces that bit a little extra. It moves that bit a little more. It doesn't do exaggerated stuff. It's exactly like Steyn. Even Steyn, it's like that. He looks... I mean, the most obvious thing, the most visually apparent thing about Steyn is the pace. But what he does with the ball, the seaming, it's not wild seam. It's not wild swing. It's so calibrated. And it's so deadly. that is the thing with these two guys. With Shane Warne, right? The batsman has no idea exactly like these two guys. But as a viewer, it's different. You can see it. Oh, that's why the batsman got beaten, because that is like a mental amount of spin.
Yeah,
Even-
that's more telekinetic, as it has been described. Because you feel you can see the magic, but here you have to actually wait
You
for
have
it.
to, you have to actually do it on the slow motion replay, or if someone has to do analysis, or you have to play that YouTube video at 0.25 to see, oh God, this guy has done something really mental.
Yeah, I think the point is that he can. Point is that he can get a batter out with a certain kind of delivery, but I think it's amazing how he's constantly stretching that limit. He's saying, okay, this will not just be this ball. This will be something little bit had that little extra. And I think one of the things that all these bowlers have, all these really, really special bowlers have, is that they can figure out conditions much quicker than everybody else. So for them, and okay, execution is the main thing, but for them, like, they pretty much understand, as KD said, the ball. Bumrah doesn't seem to have any difficulty moving from Dukes to SG to Kookaburra. Same way, even conditions, like across the world, South Africa, England, India, Australia. I mean, he figures out things, he problem solves much quicker than everybody else. So that is the first step. And of course, then he has the genius to execute. I mean, that is there. But I think the first step is also something that many bowlers take a while to understand. Like, okay, now what is the length on this pitch? What is the pace on this pitch? What are the deliveries that are going to make the batsman think on this pitch? And that is the skill in itself. I mean, that is an amazing ability in itself. Yeah, moving on. I don't think so. The thing is, it's very easy to watch such a test match and say, oh, Bangladesh messed up, lost a test in 2.5 days. But I don't think that is true. I think this could actually happen to many other teams.
Yes, I have that question. Could it have happened to any other team in this situation? I am kind of leaning towards yes. It might happen it might happen to England. It might happen to Australia. With this bowling attack at this potency,
I think it would have happened to England. I mean, although I think it would have happened to like the England which came here earlier this year, because they came with very little bowling. I mean, but Australia, I'm less sure. I mean, Australia got good bowlers. I mean, they would be harder to hit. It would be very hard to score 8 runs per over against like the Australian bowling right now for like any 35 overs. 5-6 overs, okay, but 35 overs is a different thing.
No, but Australia did get in that Ashes. Australia did concede runs pretty quickly.
Yeah, but
those Crawley and all that.
Yeah, but those are. Yeah, but even then, they didn't lose the series. And they are taller. They exploit uneven bounce much better than one of the problems Bangladesh had in this test match is that they had no real pace in their attack. So they had nobody who they could use to kill the scoring. I mean, if they had Naheed, then at least he can bowl negative and fast and negative. No, I mean that. They had no. I mean, Bangladesh didn't really try to kill the scoring. They put the field back, and that just meant that they were going to concede a lot of runs. But they didn't. For instance, try any negative leg theory or anything like that. Because they just didn't have the means. They had Mahmood, but Mahmood is not really quick. And that Khalid is okay. He's listed as right arm as a medium pacer, but he's not a medium pacer. He's slightly quicker than medium pace. He's at least medium fast. But even he is not quick. I mean, that was one of their problems. And the other thing is their spinners are their spinners struggled a lot more than I thought they would to bowl quick. And Jadeja was bowling really fast. That's one of the reasons why he draws so many attacking shots. The bread and butter shot against the finger spinner for the batsman is the drive. That's the low risk, low reward option to score. And against the average slow left arm orthodox, the batters, they play a drive on about 22% of balls. Against Jadeja, they're able to do it at about 18% of balls. So he's roughly 20% better, harder to drive than the average left arm spinner. So, or 4 percentage points. That's about 20%, right? Out of one when the average is 22. So that means that all these other shots become a lot more, come into the picture a lot more, like the sweep and the reverse and all that. So, and those shots are very fraught. I mean, the batter is taking a huge risk. That's one of the reasons why he bowls so fast, and that's one of the reasons why he gets so many wickets. Because he is not letting the batter defend. And this was evident in the first test also. He's not letting the batter defend and then attack when the batter wants to attack. The batters are going after him, and it's the same with Ashwin for a different reason entirely. But the batters are going after him because they don't want to defend and they don't want to keep defending. Whereas with Mehdi and with Shakib, the Indian batters are basically able to do what they like, especially when it's not turning, and it wasn't really turning in this test match. So that is that's quite a thing that these bowlers are doing, which is, and I mean, on the batting side, we've been saying, at least I've been saying for years, that this current Indian batting lineup is better than anything we've had before. And, Sarfaraz Khan is not able to get into this lineup. That's partly because they're playing only 5 batters. But there are a lot of very, very good players who are not able to get into this lineup. And KL Rahul, for some reason, is always under pressure. But 2 test matches ago, he made a remarkable 103 in South Africa at Centurion on a really sketchy pitch, batting in the middle order. And then he played in Hyderabad and he made 86 or whatever it is that he made as well. And then he's been injured. And then in this series, he had an average test match in the first test in Chennai. But here, I mean, he had a license and he really used it. He had a lot. I think he enjoyed himself quite a lot. So, I mean, these are really good players. I mean, okay, they're not averaging 50 and all that, but nobody's averaging 50 as a matter of course. I mean, the thing about players averaging 50 is that there are either a lot of players averaging 50 at any one time, or there are very few. And this is one of these eras where there are very few. And that's what makes sort of Smith such an extraordinary or route, because in this era, they're averaging that.
Yeah, and I think one thing about the Indian batting also is that when you have a lineup that has Jaiswal, Gill, Pant, and KL Rahul.
And Rohit Sharma.
Rohit and Kohli are there. I mean, they've always, I'm keeping them as constant, but I'm saying with these 4 players,
yeah,
I mean, they are extraordinary limited overs cricketers also, man. Yeah. So I'm saying the way they can shift gears quite effortlessly. I mean, see, I'm thinking of a lineup with Chad, a Pujara, and a Rahane, and maybe a Vihari. Yeah. I don't think that lineup would have scored 285 at 8 runs.
No, I don't think they would have even tried. I mean,
they wouldn't have tried. They might have still made a fist of winning the test. Yeah. That's a different issue. But I don't think they could have gone at 8.2 and over. I think these guys, with their limited overs skills, I think that adds a huge amount of versatility to this lineup.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I don't know. I don't know that it's limited over skills necessarily. I think it's just stroke making skills. I mean, Rishabh Pant has been playing this way since before he started playing for India, man. I was just thinking the other day, that Pant's 159 at Sydney was in January 2019. That's nearly 5 years ago, nearly 6 years ago now. So, and that was before he was playing one-day cricket for India, or before he had his big IPL seasons or anything like that. And he, I mean, these guys are they're just good. Yeah. I mean, and Jaiswal is just. I've not seen another Indian player who meets the ball as well as Jaiswal. Like, I mean, even when he just he has this way of really emphatically driving the ball down the ground, which most Indian players, they lose that by the time they get to 30, 35, but he hasn't yet lost it, he reminds me so much of the way Tendulkar used to play back when I was in school, in the 90s, so that's and these are, and the thing is, nobody Jaiswal averages 65 in his test career after over his first 1100 or something runs. And if you notice, nobody cares about that. Nobody is obsessing about that. It's not even you'll see, it's probably not even going to ever be mentioned in any of the match reports. Right?
Yeah, that's because we are obsessing over a guy who's averaging 15, man.
Yeah, but can you imagine that 25 years ago?
Oh, no chance. Yeah. I mean, it was a batting culture, no? It was a batting-centric culture. Yeah. It's not like people have moved on from batting. But I think with this Indian team, at least slowly, it's becoming apparent what is making them great.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, these bowlers are making them great. And these bowlers are making all things possible. Yeah. I mean, these bowlers are basically saying to them, okay, give us 250 runs and that's enough, and the batters say, okay, fine, 250 runs we can make in 30 overs. Great.
Yeah, because see, this is Ravi Shastri had said this long back. He had said, one of the things we decided as a team, this was when he and Kohli Kohli was the captain and Shastri was the coach, was that if you score 250 and you have a chance in the test with your bowling, then you might as well go that route because the match moves quicker. The game moves quicker when you have that kind of an approach. When you say, okay, it's fine, we'll play 5 bowlers, you take 250, you will take 250 and we'll still win the match. That is the exact opposite of saying that we'll play 4 bowlers and then we will aim for 350 and then we will hope to win the match. I mean, this is like an unequivocal approach. 5 bowlers, 250, take it. 200, take it. We will try and win. That's it. And I think that needs to be acknowledged and credited. I mean, we do it on this podcast. KD has been writing about it forever. But I think it's important to realize the difference between, as Kartikeya calls it, competitiveness and respectability. And that is a very...
You can just do this, no? Bumrah averages 22, Ashwin 23, that's 45. Jadeja 24, that's 69. Siraj nearly 30, that's 99. And Akashdeep is what? And give him 20 because he's averaging some crazy 14, 15. Give him 20.
Even 25. I think 25 is fine. Yeah.
So 125, right? So 125 from 5 bowlers, right? 5 bowlers, 20 wickets. So multiply 125 by 4. You get 500 runs. They're saying we can get teams out twice in 500 runs.
And that on average. Test matches usually. Yeah.
So every batsman in India has to, score 25 runs. Or the top 7, if you take, make 40, 30 runs, that's enough. You don't have to make 150, 160. 30, 35 runs, 40 runs is more than enough. And that's what they're saying. That's the calculus. We'll take 20 wickets or 500 on average. You guys bat twice, make 501. Give us that, or 600, give us some leeway. That's it. Which, any batting team will take, man. 500 in twice, any batting team will take.
Yeah, but you need a bowling attack of where you you need, first of all, to consistently pick 5 bowlers, and then you need an attack that is good enough to, consistently take 20 wickets. And not many teams have that. So
no, these are the bowling averages of these people over so many tests, which means this is their average performance. Bumrah's average performance is 20 or 21, something.
No, but the fact is, we must recognize that, the Indian team could have easily continued to, play 4 bowlers and, play that extra batter and then aim for 350. They could have continued the way it always was and still won quite a bit, because even 4 bowlers will give you victories in India. But the fact that they chose this shift is itself like a huge deal.
Yeah, that is one thing. So you can choose to have 5 bowlers and implement that. That in itself is a remarkable, shift in thought process. But then they also had the luck. I mean, Kohli also had the luck that he didn't get that Vishant Sharma 1.0. He got Vishant Sharma 2.0, where he was like a demon bowler, averaging 19 and all for some.
Ashoka, I think that's a little unfair to Kohli and these people. I mean, I don't think they got those. I think they made those.
Hey,
if Ishant Sharma was bowling in a 4-man attack, he wouldn't be Ishant Sharma 2.0. Part of the whole point of Ishant Sharma becoming so good is that he had to bowl a lot less in the second half of
I'm talking about the control and how he went into the county.
That,
he went into.
Yeah, but they did. No, I mean.
Yeah, but that's all part of it. No.
Bharat Arun developed that. No, I mean, they pursued that deliberately. They said we are going to play 5 bowlers, and that means we have to develop bowlers who are good enough to play in a 5-man attack. And that means that we are. The whole idea is to bowlers are going to win you test matches. So you have to, make sure that your bowlers don't have to bowl in unfavorable situations as often as possible. So that is by design. Yeah, okay. I think there is a coincidence to the extent that Ashwin is a marvelous bowler and Jadeja is a marvelous bowler and Jasprit
how
Bumrah
many things came together for them, man?
Yeah, they have to come together, but you have to create the situation for them to come together. No, like if you played 4 bowlers, then one of Jadeja or Ashwin would not play so many test matches. Or
the worst thing, they both would play and some fast bowler would be left behind.
Yeah, so they wouldn't have these records.
Yeah,
and see, the thing is also. 4 bowlers takes a huge toll on the bodies, man. And on the bowlers, like the kind of support they're getting with 5, that shouldn't be underestimated.
Our Jawagal Srinath played for a decade and played only 60 tests, man. Like
but that is
because
he
the other 60
suffered.
They bowled him to death.
By the time in the late 90s, there was a time in which that guy's arm would have come off. Because that's how much he bowled. That's how much he bowled under Tendulkar's captaincy for a while. So, and he got injured, and then he missed many tests, and then he retired early. Srinath actually retired really early. All these bowlers continue playing for a while. So, all that adds up, and I think the fundamental shifts need to be recognized, and that is important. I mean, India. See, the thing is, India's home record would probably not been affected as much because they would have still been really good. But, to win away and to win across conditions and to win and to get to actually compete, they've competed everywhere now. They've won in Australia twice. They've won in West Indies many times. And then to win South Africa, they keep coming really close. England keep coming really close. So
there is a generation of fans who have forgotten how scary it was to tour Sri Lanka
and West Indies.
Yeah, they
now take it for granted. No,
they lost a series in West Indies to like Cameron Coffey and Adam Sanford and Pedro Collins.
Malin Black. Marlon Black, I think, was a
and Pedro
bowler,
Collins, and what is that other guy's name? Mervyn Dillon.
Merv Dillon. Yeah.
Now they are beating an attack of Kemar Roach, Shannon Gabriel, Holder,
Yeah.
who are like
Alzari
10,000. Yeah, 10,000 times better
Look,
than that.
here's a nice figure. Okay, like when England came to India, Joe Root bowled 708 balls in the series. Okay, that is 116 overs. When Bangladesh went to Pakistan recently, they won 2-0. Salman Agha bowled 301 balls in 2 test matches. That's 50 overs in 1 ball. Okay. Rohit Sharma has been captain of India for 17 tests. Part-time bowlers have bowled 25 balls for India in those 17 tests. Okay. I mean, the closest thing India have had to a part-time bowler in those 17 tests. You may insert your Shardul Thakur joke in here, but the closest has been Jayant Yadav.
Hey,
Yeah, but
Jayant
KD,
Yadav is not a
who was
part-timer.
He's not. So the part-time bowlers were Cheteshwar Pujara, Shubman Gill, Jaiswal, and one other, and Kohli.
But KD, for a long time, Indian batters haven't been bowling, right? For a long time.
But that's also by design, no? But playing 5 bowlers means they don't really do that, no? I mean, that's not a direction they're going in, you know? So for instance...
That's true.
In
I remember
another
in
era,
the 90s, Tendulkar opened the bowling.
Yeah, but in another era, again, it's not hard to imagine a universe in which if it came down to a choice between playing Gill and playing Vihari, you would say, well, Vihari can bowl a few overs. And that would be a reason for going with Vihari, you know. So, and Vihari is a good player. I think if he played in this side, they would still keep winning quite a lot of test matches with his attack. But, you know.
Or in another era, Washington Sundar might have got more games.
Yeah, that's a part-timer because he can bat, you know. Like, but the thing is that Joe Root conceded 8 for 408 in the series, and Bangladesh took 3 for 175 of Salman Agha. You know, so yeah, I mean, Salman Agha made runs and gave Pakistan respectability, but he also cost them so many runs. No, he cost them like 50 basically non-threatening overs. You know, so I mean, they don't come out ahead. No, I mean they come out behind Pakistan when they play Salman Agha as a spinner. You know, because he's not a spinner, and Joe Root is not a spinner. They are part-timers, and they're basically good for a few overs, you know. And India don't make that mistake. And the thing is that the way cricket is watched and the way cricket is played, the gaze is so much on the batting end that it is really, really hard to drive home just how much of a disadvantage Salman Agha is to Pakistan, and Joe Root bowling as much as he is to England. You know, it is very hard to notice. It is much easier to notice, like, you know, Virat Kohli playing like a couple of loose cover drives and edging. You know, that's a much more obvious, you know, quote unquote.
No, even after this test match, the sort of general theory has been that India are now going in, like they have said, Lawrence Booth of Wisden has said that India is now taking on Gamball. Like
it's like you know, this is a logical fallacy, you know, like okay, they won this test match and Gambhir is new, so therefore, you know, the one must have caused the other. You know, this is like that doesn't work like that, man. I mean,
and also the fact is that 285 at 8 and over is possible because of the other thing. That is what the people
they would have looked really stupid if they hit 285 for 9 and then Bangladesh made like 250
for 2.
Yeah, 250 for 2. It'll be like, really stupid.
No, and see, this is the thing. It's like
this is exactly what happened in the Pakistan series. No, they declared at 448. Right? They batted 2 days and then they declared. They said that we want to force the result. Just because they didn't have the batting, Bangladesh made 565. from 200 for 5, they went to 565 because they didn't have Pakistan did not have depth of bowling attack. This is exactly what happens.
No, there's
Then
a
everybody
fallacy in thinking that
everybody
285
yelled at
for 9.
that guy, whoever was the captain of Pakistan, like what his name, I forgot. Shan Masood.
Yeah, so the fallacy is that in thinking 285 for 9 at 8 and over is what gives India the time to take 20 wickets. I think it's the reverse. India are extraordinary enough to take 20 wickets, which means 285 for 9 is enough for them to win a test match. So,
less than 400
forget,
runs in the whole match, man. I mean, come on. On this pitch.
I mean, honestly, I feel even if they had just declared on par, that also would have been enough. I mean,
yeah,
for this team.
I mean, let's look. If they had made, say, 230 in 50 overs, right? Which is not very fast. Like it's 4.5, 4.5 an over. Right? If India had made 235 in 50 overs and declared, they would probably have still won this test match. I mean, they would have been chasing 150 in like 45, 50 overs. They would have still got them. I mean, they had plenty of time to spare. And this is the thing about, this whole, I keep saying that, batting really doesn't matter in test cricket. Like you take the best batting lineup you can think of, and the test matches that batting lineup played. And then you replace that batting lineup with like 80% of that batting lineup. And that team is still winning most of those test matches. But you take like the best attack you can think of and you replace it with 80% of that attack. And that team is not winning even 80% of those test matches. Like if Ashwin was like 20% worse than he is, and Jadeja was 20% worse than he is, and Bumrah was 20% worse than he is, India would not win so many test matches. But if India was scoring 20% fewer runs than they would still win most of these test matches. Because that is how the game works. No, I mean, the runs are always like to spare. Teams are winning.
Yeah. That's so. I think a batting lineup that had Rohit, Pujara, Rahane, Bihari, and Kohli.
Well, they would have scored like 225, 230 in 50 overs. They could have got those.
And they would have probably still won this match.
Yeah.
Yeah. With this exact bowling attack. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they could have even scored 250. I mean, if they want to. I mean, like Shreyas Iyer and all are not bad hitters. Yeah. And like Jadeja, they have enough hitting, enough depth. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, and then the reverse also. Think of it as suppose India had played 4 bowlers.
Yeah.
And then
they would not have bowled them out for 230, man.
Correct. So that is the shift. And this whole Basball making its reappearance as Basball led the way.
I don't know. I don't know. You guys are taking Basball way too seriously. They have a very different goal, man. They want to sell stuff like books, like tickets. They have very openly admitted that this is for the people who are watching. It's not for the people who want to discourage the game. This is just for people who are watching. This is like a movie we are doing. So let them know, let them enjoy, let them say gamball, let them say row ball, whatever. Whatever floats your boat. If you make money out of it, great. Fantastic, enjoy. But yeah, I mean, it is really stupid to say that, India batted fast to give their bowlers a chance.
But that is what has been the whole discourse about Basball, no? That they bat so fast and this thing.
That's like putting the cart before the horse. No, the horse is that they got 230 all out, man. Bangladesh 230 all out. And by the time Bangladesh were all out, it was like 140 overs. Now 148 overs or 146 overs left. So now if you're thinking as an Indian captain, you're saying, okay, I need 10 more wickets to win this match. It doesn't matter how much I score, but I need 10 wickets. How much would my bowlers need? Would my bowlers need like 60 to 70 overs? So then I have to bat only 60 to 70 overs. So they can do it in one chunk of those 140 overs. They can bat 70 overs and give the bowlers 70 overs. Or they could do whatever they did and say, okay, we will get those. Because what happens is if you bat one chunk of 70 overs, Bangladesh were bowling really slow and they were taking time out of the test match.
No, man, they
So-
were going for 8 and over, man. Usko thoda maaf kar do, yaar. That's overrated.
No.
Like,
I'm not saying
so much time fetching the ball, man.
No,
It's like,
that is a strategy.
It's hard
They bowled
to bowl
34
50.
overs in three
Yeah,
hours or something like
it's
that.
hard to bowl 15 overs an hour when you're going at 8 and over, man. Come on,
But-
like give
No.
them some leeway.
No, I'm not saying this as a as
You're saying it as
Bangladesh's
an
fault.
overrate Nazi.
No, I'm not saying this as an overrate Nazi. I'm saying
Value
this as
for money.
This is actually a good tactic, man. I mean,
Yeah.
if the opposition is hammering you, might as well slow the game down, dude. I mean, what
Yeah.
the hell? There is no.
Yeah. But you might as well slow the game down, as KD was saying, with like a bowler, a fast bowler who can.
What will they do?
You know, you
bowl
can
wide.
pinpoint exactly where the Indian bowling depth counted. You know, on the fifth morning, nothing much was happening. You know, the ball was not brand new anymore. Bumrah had bowled his first spell. Ashwin had bowled his first spell. And they got one wicket. This is like this Mominul Haq sweeping, and like he edged his sweep, and then what's his name? KL Rahul caught him at leg slip. But other than that, nothing much had happened. You know, most of the time, what would happen then is that the two best bowlers have already bowled in the first hour. It's over. Batting is going to get easier for the opposition in the second hour, and they're going to meet the bowling for more runs. Instead, what happened was that India just had three other bowlers who were just as good as the first two, and there was basically nowhere for Bangladesh to play. There was no easy overs for them to play. That is where they won this test match, you know. And so in the second hour, they got a lot of wickets, and not only that, they looked like getting wickets. Like they created a lot of jeopardy, you know. And that's the difference, you know, because usually you would have the change bowlers, and then the change bowlers maybe they'd get one more wicket before lunch. That's what would normally happen.
No, what I love about this Indian team and the bowling attack is that they have taken the word loosener out of the equation. I mean, the very first over, man, and the very first ball, this Akashdeep, I was amazed. Like there is nothing loose about this bowling. You know, they just get it straight on. It's like they've been practicing. They're well warmed up. They're all ready, and the first ball is like, okay, ready, go, create the chance. So yeah, I think that the quality is really high, and yeah, I'm hoping that Akashdeep can continue his progress. Anyway, thank you. I think this is time to wrap up. We didn't speak about everything in the match, but we spoke about the salient points, and we are
becoming that kind of a podcast. We are talking about things that matter when it matters most. Or things
and even KD has said the exact moment when it happened and all. He has gotten to become moment man. Thank you so much. Thank you for this chat. We will join you again. We have India test against New Zealand. We will join you for previewing that series and talking about it. We also will hopefully join you for some other episodes talking about the bigger picture and larger themes. Thank you again for supporting us through 200 episodes, listening, commenting, sending us feedback, etc. You can continue to do that. 81allout.com is our website. At 81allout is our handle on X. And you can also check out the books we republished. I'll put out links to all of those. And thank you for all the good vibes and good wishes. We'll join you again in about a week or 10 days' time. Good night. Thanks, Ashoka. Thanks, Kartikeya.